Robert and Catherine's child is still born, but Robert is given the opportunity to swap their deceased child with a recently orphaned baby, whose mother died in the same moment. However, as years pass, the illusion of the happily ever after is fractured, as Damien's behaviour and the actions of those surrounding him become increasingly suspicious, aided by the theory of a fearful priest claiming that the adopted boy is truly the son of Satan. This is Richard Donner's classic horror thriller The Omen, a film dripping in an eerie atmosphere encompassing Catholic pressures and uncertainty, parental anxiety and depression, as well as the relatable fear of the unknown, specifically the existence of the supernatural. The Omen is atmospheric, yet it also embraces a visceral sense of spectacle that, despite some of the recognisably aging visual effects, still manages to deliver the instantaneous blow of shock in its depictions of violence and death. The Omen has understandably garnered a recognisable legacy, building a decades-long franchise of sequels, a remake and even an admirable prequel. With an iconic reputation within horror, despite what we may think about the questionable qualities of later installments, The Omen makes it abundantly clear that it mirrors Catholic pressure, the guilt inherent in doubting the orders of the religious figures suggesting a child's death will bring the end to the devil's plans, the expectation that evil's malevolence is all-encompassing and can only be overthrown through a spiritual ritual motivated by the church, the act of birth and parenthood as decided by Catholic figures. While The Omen does very much focus on the threat of a demon child, the narrative is reflective of a prominent presence in which conservative religion infiltrates livelihood with expectations of its followers and even enforced pressures towards secular bystanders. The church here may be influencing Robert to fulfill the goal of defeating the son of Satan, but they are also not exactly innocent in matters either. The cover-up of destroyed documentation, and Damien's origins reminiscent of Catholicism's more scandalous concealments of certain acts of abuse. Religious critique aside, The Omen is also hugely reflective of a very relatable parental anxiety. Many people may wish to have children, but may worry about whether they'll be a good parent, maybe even extending towards vulnerable doubts during parenthood as to whether it's acceptable to dislike aspects of their role. The Omen captures this uncertainty effectively, demonstrating Catherine's growing resentment towards Damien, her building fear over his questionable behaviour, her agitation at his loud playing, her fright at the thought of losing him during a family walk. Catherine and Robert's relationship with the adopted son Damien is strained, emphasised by the malevolent power of a demon child, but this is reminiscent of the anxieties parents can have, whether it's needing just 5 minutes of silence as a solution to their stress, or the difficulties in managing postnatal depression. Parents aren't perfect, and sometimes these imperfections affect their mental health, possibly developing a troubled relationship with their child. In an exaggerated reflection of this parental struggle, the child is quite literally a demon, rather than just the suggestion of a demon child ignited by an intrusive thought in a moment of overwhelmed parenthood. While a clear goal is to overcome Damien and his devilish influence on others, possessing people into acts of violence or contributing to their demise, The Omen is also clearly reflective of those aspects of parenthood spoken about in hushed tones, that which should be discussed more openly, as to dismantle the stigmatisation surrounding mothers, fathers, parents and guardians struggling with their mental health while responsible for the well-being of a child. Finally, Donner's horror classic taps into the audience's fear of the unknown. Even with acknowledgement of Damien's malicious spirit, plenty still remains unresolved. How was Damien born? If the church is aware of the specific process of murdering a demon, how often have they needed to undertake this task before? Even ignoring the unresolved questions of The Omen, delving into the uncertain extent of power that demons and spirits may have is often a fascinating topic for horror due to its unknown nature within the real world. Demons may not exist, ghosts may not exist, maybe there's no heaven or hell, but The Omen manages to tap into the subconscious anxiety surrounding these spiritual uncertainties. If, on some level, we might believe in these things, or at the very least to the presence of the unexplainable, then The Omen is a film which intends to strike terror into our concerns into these topics. The inexplicable can seep into aspects of our lives, and the lives of those we love. The Omen provides a frightening suggestion that, maybe, just maybe, supernatural evils may just be responsible for the mysterious misfortunes we witness, never to be overcome. In conclusion, The Omen deserves its reputation as a horror classic. Despite some of its more aged special effects, the film still retains a powerful sense of atmospheric dread in its reflections of Catholic pressure, parental anxiety, and the universal fear of the unknowable. Whether or not you've experienced religiously imposed guilt, fears of your own ability as a caregiver, or believe in the supernatural, The Omen still manages to tap into what is ultimately a shared collective terror of the uncertain, which is why it continues to resonate with audiences decades later. A special thank you to my incredible tier Patreon supporter Gil, and my super tier Patreon supporters Konstantin Bombelli, Jamie, and Anthony R.